Hey, friends, welcome to the Crazy as Usual podcast with Donna Carlson and today, Leisa Reid. If you have monkeys around booking speaking engagements, we're going to solve some of that today. As the founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now and the CEO of the International Speaker Network, Leisa trains you how to use public speaking as a soul-filling strategy to grow your business. As a self-proclaimed talk doula, she helps you get your talk ready to rock and create a soul-filling speaker strategy so you can get booked and stay booked for the rest of your career. Over her career, Leisa has booked and delivered over 600 speaking engagements. She's a six-time author, podcast host, and was awarded an honorary doctorate. I'm kind of jealous of that after half of a master's degree. Although Leisa has both her bachelor's and a master's degree in speech communication, she assures her clients those degrees are not required to be a speaker. She's a mom, a wife, a dog lover, and loves rock concerts. I love rock concerts too. We could compare notes. Leisa, thank you so much for being on today.
I'm so excited to be here. Yes, we'll have to go to a concert one of these days.
Oh, that could be fun. Yeah, absolutely. Um, nothing makes me happier than my jeans and my rock concert t-shirt and loud music.
Yes, there's something about live music that's really magnetic and
Well,
exciting.
and resonant, the vibration has a real healing effect. I found. I went to a live concert last night. It wasn't a rock concert; it was a John Denver lookalike concert.
Oh, fun.
But he's singing all these songs that we know, and there was just something really folksy and comfortable about it. And I did get my husband to dance once.
Yes, success.
Yeah, normally I go to these things with my girlfriends who will dance the whole time.
That's me.
So it's a date. It's a date. So, gosh, I mean, you did study communications. It makes sense that you'd be really good at speeches, but not everyone who studies communications is really good at speeches. Sometimes
Yeah.
they're good at writing communications. How did you get into speaking? How did you know that the stage was your home?
I think I probably knew at a pretty young age, but I will tell you, Donna, I really think of it. I am a teacher disguised as a speaker, to be honest, right? And so that's how I make my money is speaking or, teaching people how to go ahead and get that microphone in their hand and be on that stage to grow their business. But honestly, it's really important for me that I'm providing value to the audience and that I'm teaching them something and that they're propelling forward versus being like an inspirational, motivational speaker. I don't really resonate with those titles. It's definitely more of like, let me help transform you or get you to that next step so that
Yeah,
you can then go after what it is that you want. And
right.
I think that started at a very young age.
Tell me your first time.
Oh, well, there's a story my dad used to tell when we moved up. I grew up in Fairbanks, Alaska. Spoiler alert, everybody. And I was 2 years old, and he had to take me to daycare. And he specifically looked for a daycare that had Spanish speaking people because he was from California. He's like, I know that's so important to learn how to speak Spanish. So he dropped me off. By the end of the day, he comes and picks me up. I had taught the kids how to speak English. So it really was, I mean, I don't even remember that memory, but from him telling it, that is, I believe, where it started. And then he was an instructor as well and would teach classes and facilitate workshops and seminars and things like that. And my mom also was a teacher. So I think it was just really in the blood in there, but I didn't become officially a professional speaker until I was 40 years old. And this was about 11 years ago. I just had a birthday. So 11 years
Okay.
ago, yeah, still very young. And that when they described that position, they were like, hey, we want you to go out and speak to as many people as you can, as many groups as you can, and give this presentation about mindset. I was working for a personal development company at the time. And my job was to go teach people about this process that was going to help them increase the results they want to have in their life by attending some of these workshops. And I had already attended a bunch of those workshops. I loved them, had massive results. I thought, well, this is the best thing since sliced bread. I get to do what I love. I'm happy to speak to people because I know there's a purpose and it's going to do good in the world and it's going to help people. And so sign me up. Let's do that. So I did that. And that's how I got started, like literally as a speaker.
Nice. What was it like the first time that you pitched a big stage?
A big stage.
Or what would you consider to be a big stage?
Um, I guess I wasn't super fearful about big or little. Because sometimes I didn't know what I was walking into until I already got there. Like, I'm trying to think of like the different audiences. And I will say that just because it's a big stage or a quote unquote little stage or however one holds that in their mind doesn't actually mean the results are going to be big or little, right? So I think
Right.
I disassociated those two, like, because I got let down. I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story. What I mean. I would go out and speak to anyone who would invite outside speakers for the most part in my local area. And that first year I booked 83 speaking engagements and then just kept doing it over and over again, like each year after that. And one week I was booked, I got the address, for where it was a private event. It was about 10 people. So it was gonna be small, right? So you think, oh, small. And I pull up to the address and it was a mobile home park. And I'm all, that's different, but it was
Okay.
at someone's home. I knew it was at someone's home. That's no big deal. It's fine. And it was literally a double wide trailer, Donna, literally a double wide trailer. I'm not even joking. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Great. And I, walk in and we do the thing and I give my regular talk that I usually would. And several of the women signed up on the spot and then went on to spend thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, right? Okay. So this, like, say this is on Tuesday. On Thursday, same week, I go to another event, do my whole presentation, the thing. And I live in Orange County, California. So there's some fancy areas, in Orange County.
Yeah. Mhm.
And this was at a private club, like private social club in Orange County. And, there's all the Porsches and the Bentleys and stuff like that in the parking lot. And the group was a group that is a philanthropy group. So everybody in the room, like 50 women, everyone in the room could feasibly, in order to belong to this club, they had to donate $1,000 a year, $1,000 a year to this organization. So not to say that's a huge high amount, but we're talking to people who have that extra income to be philanthropists, right?
Uh-huh.
So you would think, oh my gosh, every single person is going to sign up for this thing and they all can afford it and it's going to be amazing. My results were one person signed up. She did spend thousands, tens of thousands of dollars as well. But you see what I'm saying? Like the difference, it's like it didn't seem to matter.
Yeah.
Like size
Fascinating.
or the environment. Yeah.
Well, okay. This brings up a very practical question. First thing that comes to my mind is I'm building a new business, don't have a lot of cash on hand. How do people come up with tens of thousands of dollars?
Well, for that it was over time. So
Yeah, over
but
years. Yeah.
yeah, but if we bring it back to speaking, one of the things that I'll work on with people is called the speaker monetization formula, something I created. It's really
Oh,
simple.
cool.
And I can even tell you it's only 3 components, so it's pretty easy. And listening along, just go ahead and do this in your mind, do the math in your mind, very simple. So for example, say I work with a lot of coaches, consultants. They might have a package for easy math. We'll just say it's $1,000 coaching package. Let's just say they got $1,000 coaching package. Great. And I said, okay, how many speaking engagements do you think you would feasibly be able to deliver? Let's say you have your talk done, you know what your audience is, you know where to find them, what would be reasonable for your schedule, things like that. Usually my clients speak anywhere from once, twice, or 3 times a month. So
Mhm.
we said, like, let's say like 24 or 36 times a year is very healthy diet. We'll say 36. I'm going to get my calculator out. So we've got $1,000 program times 36 speaking engagements. Even if you had one client that signed up for that one program at each engagement, that's $36,000. But like, what if your program is $2,000? This is where we get into pricing and things like that. $2,000 times 36 is $72,000. What if your program is $3,000 times 36 is $108,000? So we can play with those numbers and see where you fit in. It's it's not rocket science.
True. And, people have monkeys about numbers.
Oh yeah,
And
so many.
I'm sure you've encountered people who aren't sure what they're worth in terms of a speaker,
Hmm.
um, and will easily discount their stage time
Hmm.
without thinking about it. What is it that you give them to combat that self-sabotage that tries to talk us down?
Well, there's a couple things. So I'll come back to that, but I will also say one of the things that we'll work on is the monetization piece. Like, where are they getting the monetization from? Is it from getting clients? Is it a speaker fee, which is, I think, what you were just referring to? Or can they make more money by actually generating clients and just sort of forgetting about the speaker fee for a second? So,
Oh,
depending on where we have our focus, that can really change the game really quickly.
that's really true. When you said that, it's interesting that I synapsed over into paid speaking gigs because there are some people who just focus on
Hmm.
paid speaking gigs. You're really talking about getting on stage anywhere that you can where you can be of service to people.
Yes.
And
Yes.
your takeaway is what you book on that stage.
Yeah, and like when you have a plan, when you know what your talk is, I like help people get their talk ready rocks so that we know where we're taking the audience, like where the journey is there, and it makes sense for you, it makes sense for your business, it makes sense for the audience. And kind of going back to how do we overcome the monkeys? If you're in love with your offer, you would offer it to anyone who would ask. You would offer it to anyone who you think, oh, this would really benefit them. If you have gunk or monkeys around your offer and you're like, oh, I'm doing it because this is what I'm supposed to say, or I've made sure the words are exactly perfect, or I don't know, I'm just going to ask for this thing, or oh, I forgot, whatever, all the things that can then get in the way of you giving that offer. When you're not energetically clean on it or clear, that's when your sales are really going to be affected. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So if we come back to the monkeys, I actually call it speaker's kryptonite. So I love like we're like living parallel, parallel lives over here.
Yeah.
And for me, the speaker's kryptonite sounds and it's different for everyone, just like all our monkeys are different. It might sound like in the beginning, oh, I really want to be a speaker, but I don't know what I'm going to be speaking about. I'm still working on what my message is going to be. I'm still working on my talk. I'm not really sure. I've got to get my programs together. I need to do more research. I'm writing my content. First, I'm going to write a book. Then I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to, like that would be all the things to keep us safe and keep us off that stage.
Uh-huh.
So that's like that's before we even get started.
Right. Right.
And then
I hear
there's
you.
more
The
to come.
massive preparation
Yes,
and
yes. Over research, overwrite content. I call it you're getting seduced by creating content. Do you have any clients yet? I don't know. Got to start with the client first.
oh yeah, I think that's a necessary first thing. So your is most of your business income from teaching people how to get speaking gigs? Do you have
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I have two different ways. Yes, that's like my main program that I offer is called the Speakers Training Academy, which means like let's get your talk dialed in so that you know exactly what you want to be saying. And I don't mean exactly meaning a script, but just you're clear on your points. This makes sense for your business and it makes sense for the audience. Like this is going to be a home run, right? And then, okay, now we also need to figure out and there it's not one's exactly before the other, it's all kind of happening at the same time. We need to figure out where are you best suited to speak,
Yeah.
who can best benefit from your message, and then we start putting those wheels in place of like or those wheels in motion of like where should you go, who should you talk to, what should you say, those kind of things, and get the ball rolling. So there's a few things, just I call it get ready to be ready. I always want everyone to be ready to say yes. I want you to be able to speak in a boat with a goat, in a box with a fox, all that kind of stuff. Like just if they
You've
ask
been
you, you can
reading
say,
Dr.
yes, I can
Seuss
do
lately.
it. So anything that's keeping you ready to say yes is blocking you from any opportunities, right? Like so like the monkeys will come in where they'll say this will be client confessions, like pre client confessions, like they're not a client yet, and they'll say, well, I want to be a speaker, and I've been asked. I've been asked to speak, and I honestly I never emailed them back. I never called them back because I just it's like I just hopefully they forgot about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so you're really pushing opportunities away, and so we got
Well,
to work through that.
I did that once when I had just been through a really hard time, and somebody asked me to do a commencement address.
Oh wow,
And
that's a big
I
one.
basically said, "Don't you want somebody more successful to do your commencement?"
Oh yeah,
Well, and the thing is, it, that's the monkey that we need to wrangle. It really doesn't even matter how much we know. We just need to know that we're valuable.
yeah,
And and sometimes you get in the right place in front of the right people, and it comes organically, and that's when you know that you're in your sweet spot. I think over preparing can can actually be detrimental, wouldn't you say?
yeah.
Especially if
When we're
you're standing there trying to remember what you wanted to say and you're doing that thing where you roll your eyes back and you're losing connection with the audience.
100%. Yeah, there's this sweet spot. You want to go for unconscious competence, really. It's like, and in the speaking process, there's an conscious uncompetence. Like, I know I don't know what I'm doing, right? That's the beginning, and that's okay. But then we put it all together, and then we got to start practicing it. And then you get into conscious competence where I'm like, oh, I know what I'm talking about, but I still need to like check my notes, or I still need to look at the slides, or I'm not quite sure. It's still a little bumpy. And if you keep practicing, you will get to unconscious competence. But the best, honestly, the quickest way to unconscious competence is to practice enough to where you're like, okay, it might not be perfect, but I'm going to go out there and I'm in love with this stuff and I'm just going to go for it. And you do your thing. You've got your plan. You got to at one point just throw it out. Like
Yeah.
I've got my plan and it's in here. I trust myself. I'm going to do it. Then your unconscious competence in speaking in front of live people, whether it's virtual live or in person live, either way, or to nobody like a webinar, that also helps build your unconscious competence. So it's kind of like you can't be unconsciously competent at diving into the water if you've never dive into the water.
Right.
Like you're never,
You won't know until
we
you
just have
dive.
this like, we're kind of hard on ourselves. Like, oh, I didn't do it perfect. I'm like, what's perfect anyway? How will you know? How would you know? You can
Right.
never know.
Well, and nobody measures us by the same yardstick that we measure ourselves by.
No, no.
So you really you really help a business owner to get clear on their value proposition by walking them through this
Yeah,
unconscious confidence about what they're saying and what their product is.
it's not even, it's so funny. I love that you said that because I never think of it that way. But in a way, it's like, say, I'll give an example. I have a client who is a coach, which is common. I have a lot of clients who end up in the coaching space, which I love. It's such a fascinating topic. But everyone has their own experience they bring to the table. Everyone has
Yeah.
their own personality, sense of humor, lack of sense of humor, whatever. I mean, I don't know. We all have our thing.
Yeah.
And what they really love helping people with, because coaching is such a big thing. So if you
Hmm.
get too into the like gobbledygook of the
Yeah.
industry sayings that a client wouldn't necessarily resonate with,
Right.
it's separate. It separates you from the audience, right? So the
Yeah.
idea is like what I help them. That's why I call myself a talk doula. I'm like, we're literally delivering a baby because your talk is part of you. It
Yeah.
is something you birth, whether you're a man or a woman, you can have one.
That's true.
and
Hmm.
and you look at it and you just want just like if you had a baby, you look into your baby's eyes and you're in love, like you're just in love. And
Yep.
so that's what it's like, because having that vibration or just that feeling about your message is contagious to the audience,
Yeah.
much more than it's got to be perfect, or Google says this, or my coaching certification said I need to talk about that. Boring. No one cares because it's going to come out as boring from you unless you're madly in love with it.
Hmm. That is so true. And really getting back behind the the passion behind what you do, understanding why you do it, even if it's Um, you can be passionate about accounting.
Oh
I
yeah, absolutely.
passionately help people with their CRM. I love databases.
Perfect.
You
Yes.
know, and as long as you are convinced that this is a boring subject, then everyone's going to be convinced likewise. But if you talk about how it changes your life to have these things in order, to have your day all planned out for yourself on Monday morning, or there's some practical reasons. I was just talking with someone earlier today about this very same thing. I said, I don't know how to reconcile my book and my podcast with my CRM consulting business. And she said, you're helping people who are crazy because they're doing too many things at once and they don't know how to balance it all and they don't have it in order and they need to get everything out of their head and into a system. And that's what you provide. You help them
Yeah.
get it into a system. And I went, you're right. Now I'm excited. I can't wait to go and do that for more people.
Exactly. And yeah, and it's so important because we all have gifts. 100%. We all have gifts that we bring to the table, but we can't all be good at everything. We just can't. And so
Uh-uh.
when we do the things that we really get lit up about, that's where the excitement is. That's
Yeah.
exciting. And other people can feel that. And they're like, oh my gosh, I finally have someone who I've been, I always say, if if you're running out of post-its and strings to tie around your finger, it's time to get a CRM. Like, this is ridiculous. You can't run a business with strings and post-its. Like, it's just not.
Exactly. I asked a very successful CEO how she manages her lead cycle, and she said post-it notes.
Oh Lord have mercy. Yeah, no. So I'm a number one fan of CRMs. I
Yeah, what do you use for your business?
I use HubSpot and I use the free version. I've been using it for years and it does what I need it to do.
Yeah.
And I
Isn't
think
it
that's
amazing?
where we get the flashy lights, or whatever, whoever's paying for the most ads on Google, right, gets the
Right.
business. And a lot of times for a solopreneur or a small team, you don't need a huge nuclear weapon or whatever. Like, you just need
I
like
love
a little,
that's
you just need a little wagon. You need a wagon.
per perfect words. Yeah, I said jet airplane for someone who needs to take the bus.
That's a better
But
analogy.
I actually did talk a client into getting I encouraged a client to try this big customized system for his industry with all the bells and whistles. And he just went, it's too much. I
Yeah.
I can't do this. So we put him on HubSpot
Yeah.
and it was
Which you
so
can
easy
grow
to
into, obviously. You can grow
yeah.
into the bells and whistles.
Well, and you can actually really grow your marketing automations in HubSpot even on the free version.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
there's a lot you can do.
there's a whole lot you can do. So more power to you. It's fantastic. I did one data integration on HubSpot and I said, give me another one. I want to do another one. It's so
Yeah,
much
that's
fun.
why I recommend it for people who are just like it's literally, if you can get your contacts in there, that's the hardest part. Like, that's it. And that's not
Yeah.
even that hard, but like, once you get that done, you can pretty
Well,
much plug and play.
yeah, and the problem is if you don't know how to do that import, then you'll do it wrong, and then you have to go and correct all of those. So I try to save people that time by
Yeah.
getting that data set ready before you do the import. Anyway, we're not here to talk about HubSpot, but thank you for telling me how you manage your business. I really am excited about how business systems management keeps us from feeling crazy as business owners. Honestly, we need that. And thank you for reinforcing that. So when it comes back to other businesses that you'd really like to help them get their talk ready to rock, um, what do they need to know about you, or what do they need to remember in order to be ready to move forward?
Honestly, the first step is figuring out what you're going to talk about. Second step is who are you going to talk to? And then the third step is like, how do you marry those two together? Like, okay, then what would be the approach to go and speak to them? There's some other pieces, of course, that need to go into that, but I'm going to help people with that. A lot of times they could feasibly do that on their own if they're really driven and they're really clear on their message. But a lot of times, as we're talking about the monkey mind or the monkeys and the things and the kryptonite that gets in, I know it's a lot quicker to just have someone, just like with the CRM. It's like, just stop worrying about it. Let's take it off your list. Let's just actually just get it done. And then you can keep moving forward, fast
Yeah,
track your way to the front of the line. So we'll do that. Yeah.
that's good. And you have a little download that people can get off your
Yeah,
website?
they can. If you go to getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips, you will get 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs now. That'll just go right to your email. Some bonus things in there for you too. So yeah, it's getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you helping to unearth how to um, get your monkeys in order and your mind ready to speak. I appreciate you spending time with us today. I hope we send a lot of people to your website. I'm going to go
Oh.
download that download. I need that too. I just keep getting rejections and I'm like, okay, I got to change my strategy here.
Ah, yeah, we'll talk offline. There's ways to around that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and every closed door is just an opportunity to learn. So I see it all good. It's all good. Well, thanks,
Absolutely.
Lisa, for being on the podcast. I really appreciate your time today. If you are just tuning in, this is the Crazy as Usual podcast with Donna Carlson. Today's guest is Leisa Reid, and you can find all the information you need on my LinkedIn newsletter, Crazy as Usual with Donna Carlson, or Crazy as Usual with Donna on Instagram. Stop by and check us out.